I drive around to other engineering offices, talking to the engineers about projects and helping them figure out how to design systems that they have no they have some indication of how to do, but they're not familiar with them. So I help them out.
Okay, so you're a mechanical engineer. You work at Haldeman Incorporated, and you do your specialty is heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, and uh,
Correct.
and um, and I guess you did tell me recently that you've been really, really busy with a lot of Amazon stuff, and Amazon stuff has to do with packages and buying things, and my students probably don't know what that has to do with ventilation and air conditioning because we order like my new gaming chair from there, so I don't know what that has to do with HVAC. Explain why you're so busy, please.
So basically, what's happening is that Amazon is trying to buy a lot of warehouses to have in every different city, so you get your packages faster. They're trying to convert from 2 day delivery to 1 day delivery, and the way they can do that is by having multiple warehouses with the equipment or the the goods that you're buying close to your house. So when you order it, they'll send it out right away. Okay, so when they did this, they decided to invest in a lot of warehouses, and what they're trying to do is keep their trucks inside the warehouse, so it's easier for them to load the goods into the trucks. Now, because you have trucks inside a warehouse, it's an enclosed space. You have gases that are coming out of the truck when you turn them on. All the byproducts of gasoline and diesel are being contained in this warehouse. Um, those those byproducts are actually hazardous to your health. They can actually kill you if you breathe them in too much or if there's too much in the environment. So what we are doing, we're designing a system of sensors that sense how much byproducts are in the room, and when there's a certain amount, it sends a signal to the control panel to turn on the fans, so you get everything out of this building. Okay, so there's a lot of rules that we have to follow. Basically, the manufacturer tells us what to use, and also the city or the state tells us also how many sensors to use per how much square feet. So we have to come up with a design that covers the whole area with sensors and also how to turn on the fans and come up with a sequence of operations which tells us if this amount of byproduct is in the air, you turn the fan to this amount, and if there's more, then you increase the speed of the fan to make sure that you don't have any of those gases inside the room. So that's what we've been doing. In the past couple of months, we probably designed between 35 to 40 different warehouses. So you're going to be seeing a lot of Amazon trucks around your neighborhoods now because they're just blowing up everywhere.
All right. Well, I have one question. And by the way, if you guys think of any questions, you can kind of ask here or just write it up in the chat, and then we'll get to those questions. One question I have is, so they have these sensors. They sense whether or not there's like byproducts, so like exhaust from cars and stuff that are not good to breathe in. Then if
Right.
it senses that, then the fans turn on and blow it out. Is there any fans that are always on, or is every fan variable, or is there like some fans that are just always on and have nothing to do that just kind of keep air flowing no matter what. And then the other
Well,
ones kick on when these sensors go on.
the state came up with Title 24, which is like an energy code, and they tell us as long as there's people in the room, you have to have the fans on at a certain percentage. Okay, which is very low. It's only 15% of the CFM or the cubic feet in the area. Okay, so if you have a huge room that's 10,000 cubic feet, you only need 50% of that to be removed at all times. So you always have a constant fan at a very low speed. But once the what they call it, the parts per million, the ppm, which is particles or parts per million. I don't know how to explain that, but in the air, then you need to turn the fan higher, and they don't want the parts per million to surpass 25 parts per million of CO, which is the gas byproduct, gasoline byproduct.
Okay. Um, and so parts per million is what it is so if you have like a something they're looking at. This, what do the sensors sense? They sense carbon monoxide and
Carbon monoxide for gasoline and nitrogen dioxide for diesel.
okay, okay. So most of you folks should have carbon monoxide detectors in your house, just in case your heaters or some of the exhaust from the cars in the garage leak into the house, or you have a heater or like some type of fire burning thing in your house, that you don't get too much carbon monoxide, because you won't know it's kind of happening until it's too late. So the
It's
sensors.
odorless.
Uh-huh.
It's odorless. It's you can't know when it's in your house. And what it does, it actually depletes the oxygen in your home, so you can't. You'll feel woozy, and you'll think you're falling asleep, but you're actually losing your life, pretty much.
Yeah, so that's why those carbon monoxide detectors are really important. They are. It's rare when it happens to people, but when it happens, there's almost nothing you can do about it, because you just don't know what's happening. Like you said, you just get a little tired. You just think, man, I'm just gonna go to sleep. But pretty much, like you said, you're pretty much losing your life at that point.
Yeah.
The second you go to bed, so, and it happens. You hear it almost every winter when somebody brings a barbecue. Somebody who's poor is there at home. They don't have a nice heating system at home that's safe, and then they go, "Oh, it's so cold today. It's like 35 degrees out, and so let's take this barbecue that we have in the backyard, and we'll just like put some coals in it and heat it up in the house. It'll be nice and warm in the room." And then what happens is that just adds carbon monoxide, and more than likely, they don't have carbon monoxide detectors in their house to tell them that it's becoming dangerous inside their house. But mainly, if you're keeping
Or
away from that stuff, you'll be okay.
or like in my mother-in-law's house, they take him off because they go off too much when they're cooking.
Oh yeah, that's not good. So yeah, so that's not good either. So all right, does anybody have any questions? I'm looking at the chat. If you guys have any questions about heating, ventilation, air conditioning, so mainly, and I'll tell you what he does mainly is I've known him for a while now, and like, think about these big warehouses that make bread or something like that. Like, I remember one he told me about was King's Hawaiian bread. You guys know those sweet rolls they sell? They're in an orange bag, and they're like little rolls, and they're real sweet, and they're really tasty. Um, that like their fans that blow the air out of their warehouse messes up, and then of course they're cooking stuff, and there's all kinds of stuff going on in the chemicals and stuff, and they got to get that stuff out of the warehouse, and it's dangerous for their employees, so they have to shut down the whole plant, right, when something like that
Yeah.
happens. Right, so right
Yeah.
away they get on the phone to like Haltom and his company and say, hey, I need somebody out here to fix this right away. And he does not fix it, but a salesman needs to sell them a certain part, maybe a motor or a fan or something like that. And then Mr. Munoz here will go to the warehouse and kind of double check it for them, and for the salesman, because the salesmen, they're not always the brightest people. They're not like pros at what, doing calculations and whatnot. So they send an engineer out, and the engineer looks at it and goes, hey, he needs a certain size motor and a certain size fan blade that does this, and you need to order that for him right away so he can get this warehouse up and running again. So he does a lot of that stuff, a lot of last second calls. So we're kind of lucky he gets to come on here, and it is actually probably is easier to do it on Zoom rather than you show up to a classroom anyway. So
Right. And other things that we do, we help engineers design systems for hospitals. That's another big thing that's going on right now. Isolation rooms, because of COVID. A lot of the hospitals need to create rooms that are isolated from the hospital, so the virus doesn't get out of the building. Okay. So if you have people that are sick, they put them in this certain room that has a system that cleans out the air. But all the air, when you open the doors, those air that air can get out. So what we're designing is a system that keeps the air inside. It creates a negative space. So meaning when you open the door, instead of the air coming out, it gets sucked in, and then it goes in through a system that it gets cleared. You have filters, carbon filters. You have HEPA filters, which are uh, filters to clean out the air, to clean out 99.9% of the contaminants in the air, and then it goes out into the atmosphere. So we're doing that a lot as well. We also have another project where we're actually putting, the regular, like the fans that you have in your ceiling. Um, we have some of those, but they also have UV lighting, where UV lighting actually kills bacteria and viruses.
hmm.
So what we're doing is we're bringing up the air to the fan, and it gets hit by this UV light, and it starts killing all those bacteria and viruses. And after a certain amount of time, you have no viruses in the room. They're about 99.9% effective.
All right.
So this is new stuff that's going on.
We have one question. Someone asked, how long have you been working there?
Wow, that's gonna tell my age.
And did you have any training? Like obviously you got your degree for engineering, but like did they train you on how to do like
Yeah,
specific air conditioning stuff?
right. So basically, I went to Cal Poly Pomona to get my engineering degree. I came out of Cal Poly, and I was an intern at the gas company for 4 years, but this was my actual first real job after college. Haldeman. I started there. Wow, in 2001. So I've been there 19 years. It's the only job that I had, and I really enjoy it. It's very challenging. We have different challenges every day, so it's actually pretty fun. Um, yeah, they did training. I had training in the office. I actually the way my office did it, they were a little bit old school where they put me in the warehouse because we do build fans in our office. We build the fans, we build equipment. So what they did was that in order to know what the equipment that you're specifying or you're designing, you got to take a look at what it is. So they actually put me in the warehouse for 6 months, and I was actually building fans with the manufacturers
No.
for 6 months. We looked at everything, and then from there you get training. You go to different manufacturing plants where they make all the equipment, and you get trained. Um, I've been to probably 6 or 8 different states where the factories are, and I go and train with them and get knowledge to actually pass it down to my engineers. So it's actually pretty fun.
Very very cool. And just let you know, you were started working there before any of these students were born. So
Thanks a lot, bro. That made me feel real like a young buck.
yeah, you're young. And then I guess the last thing I want to say is, as an engineer, you guys get treated usually pretty well. I mean, it's not like you can just go out and grab an engineer any second. So you're a company, and you have to appreciate your engineers. It's not like they're begging to come working at your place. Can we please work for you? It's more like the other way around.
Right.
Companies are like, yeah, they're like companies are like, I need you to come here to me, please. Don't go to the other company. Come here. So they've always treated him pretty nice, and I think and when he drives his car, like during the workday, they pay him for every mile he drives. Like how much per mile?
55 cents a mile.
55 cents a mile. So, so every 2 miles he's making a buck just driving around plus his regular pay.
Right.
So,
And right now in the industry, there's a shortage of engineers and actually scientists right now in the industry. So if you're looking for a career, engineering it's a very good career to go into. It's one of the only careers that you only need a bachelor's degree to actually have a good job. You don't need to have a master's or a PhD. With your bachelor's, you can get a fairly decent job and get paid well.
yeah, and they treat him nice. He used to work at the warehouse, like even when he became the engineer there, and he was working in an office, but they were growing and they needed more space in the warehouse, so they asked, "Hey, can you take your things and just take your computer and your books and stuff and go work at home?" So he's been working at home for like maybe 10, 12 years
Mm,
longer.
More like 17.
Yeah, 17 years. Yes, for 17 years he's been working at home. So, this way before quarantine, he's been
With
working at home, right? Before
yeah.
COVID, he's been working at home for a long
I
time.
was prepared.
Yeah, he's already used to this. So so because he's at home, they say, hey, you need a cell phone. So they pay for his cell phone. They pay for his home internet. They pay for his miles on his car. They give him
Insurance.
his car insurance. They pay. They still give him his regular pay and everything else. So they take care of him there, and that's something that pretty much you come to expect as an engineer, is that you get taken care of like that, especially when you have to do stuff from home. So I thank you, and I don't see any more questions. So I want to thank you for your time, Mr. Munoz.
All right. Thank you guys. Have a good one and study hard. That's all I can say.
All right, thanks, man. Have a good one.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, class. So that was